morning. Welcome to this day's episode of Stroke of Genius. Today's guest is phenomenal. I've not ever heard of someone. I've never been able to know someone that has gone through so much, but also has such a positive personality. Now, some might say there's other people in the room that might be that way, but this guy is like none other. So without any further ado, I want to bring on our guest today, and his name is Joshua Pelland. Hello, Josh.
Hey, Brian. Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's great to be here. Great to be with all your guests and everyone watching.
Thank you. So tell me a little bit about your story.
So a little snapshot, I guess, of my story was pretty big adventurer from a very young age. Started traveling when I was 16 in Africa, got up to all sorts of craziness, came back home to Canada where I'm from, and really didn't fit in very well with my peers at that time. And I actually quit school, started working for a couple of years, and I felt like I really needed a new sense of direction, a sense of purpose, and a really big challenge. So I found the biggest thing I could find at that time, and I ended up going across and I joined the British Royal Marine Commandos, which is one of Britain's most elite fighting forces. I ended up doing several years with them, traveled all over the world, went to all sorts of great and not so great places, and came out of that, went into the private security world for a number of years, and I ended up coming back home to Canada from living in Africa for those couple of years, and I went back to my passion, my real raw passion, which was climbing in the mountains, climbing ice, climbing rock of all different styles, and I just inserted myself full on into that lifestyle, and I was what they call in that community a dirtbag. So I lived in my vehicle.
A what?
A dirtbag. A dirtbag. I know it's weird. I don't know why or where it's come from. But yeah, so traveled to all the climbing spots and got after it as much as I could. And about 4 years ago, I ended up having a climbing accident, which I'm sure we'll get onto, that left me paralyzed from the chest down. So life was complete 180. Did about 8 months in hospital. While I was in hospital, I took everything I kind of learned throughout my life and those experiences, the good and the bad, and I think I used them in a positive way and shifted my focus pretty quickly into paracycling, which is a parasport, and that's what I've been doing now ever since. So I'm trying to push myself both physically and mentally in this new avenue and new arena as an athlete. So that's kind of, in a quick nutshell, where I've been.
Wow. Yeah. So you grew up in Canada?
Yep. So I grew up all over Canada, west to east sort of thing. And yeah, had a
right now you're in Alberta, right? Or close to Alberta?
Pardon me?
You're close to Alberta around?
Yeah, I'm in Alberta. Yeah, central Alberta. So on the west. Okay.
And so then from there, we went from Canada to England.
Yep.
And joined their special forces. How do you do that?
So it's set up quite differently from the States, but it's an elite unit. And the way that I was able to do that is because we're part of the Commonwealth. So we get guys from South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and a couple of Canadians. And yeah, that was a pretty big culture shock. I had the culture shock of the United Kingdom, different languages, different accents, and then the whole culture shock of the military. And the Royal Marines are a very unique organization, steeped in history. So it was fun.
Yeah. And how long ago was that?
So that was in 2005. So I went across when I was 18.
Wow. That's amazing that you could just pick up and do that. I mean, obviously there's an application process and all that, but I mean, still, That's pretty incredible. Now, so you come back. You had a lot of adventures, I'm sure, that you could tell us all about. But you come back, you have still a desire to do more with you know climbing and being adventurous. But what do you do then that caused you to have an accident?
So yeah, I went out for a normal day of climbing. I was in Squamish, British Columbia, on the west coast of Canada, and I didn't have a climbing partner that day, so I decided to go climb alone in this small band of cliffs. And it was a place that I would go to kind of just practice different rope works and climbing styles and different techniques. And the style of climbing I was doing was rope soling. So that just meant that I managed all the rope work alone. And I was just going up and down this band of cliffs, um, organizing loads of gear, loads of ropes, and just a pretty typical day. As the day warmed up, a few more climbers came, and we chit chatted the normal sort of stuff. And I don't really remember what happened at all.
Hmm.
But about a month after being injured, I got an email from a climber who saw me fall. And she was at the top of her climb looking over at me, and I was at the top of mine. And I was hooked in, organizing all my ropes and all my gear. And according to the guidebook, the top of the climb is 65 feet. And she just saw me falling straight down. So I landed on my shoulder, and back of my head hit a boulder. And I was still conscious, still trying to sit up, trying to help. Don't remember, completely blacked out. I was airlifted to the hospital, revived twice in the helicopter.
Hmm.
You know, just horrible, horrible situation. Multiple surgeries, and that first sort of month of being in intensive care and going in and out of all these surgeries, I really have no recollection of it at all. And
Yeah.
a really, really good thing. Um,
So were you married at this point? Oh, I lost you.
mountain man kind of vibe, right?
What's that? You're doing your own vibe?
Yeah, just living the single man vibe, just not focused on anything but climbing, really. Like, there was no women on my radar.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
And so when you went to the hospital, who took care of you?
Yeah, so my family came out. So they were on the other side of the Rocky Mountains, and initially my brother came out straight away, um, followed by my mom and dad. They came out, and then eventually my sister and her family.
Hmm.
So that initial family connection was really important. And even though early on I don't really have much recollection of it, I still know that it was definitely an aspect to helping me get through.
So obviously, having the connections, the family there to help you was great. But and you don't sounds like you don't remember much. But what when you do remember something, what do you remember having? You wish you could have talked to, or you wish you could have told your caregiver something or help them to empathize with what you were going through. Is there something like that?
Um, Probably after the first month, is when I started figuring things out and kind of getting a grip to what was going on. And it was a real frustration point with me, um, especially being so independent for so long in my life. And then, having my mom there that wants to take care of me because she loves me, and my dad. And, I had wonderful friends from all over the world that came and helped out. And, maybe one thing that I could have just said was I just need some space.
Hmm.
You know, I do regret being quite gruff and rough. I was a very different man back then, and really didn't empathize. I was just focused on what I needed to do. I was, that mission orientated sort of mindset, when really I should have just pulled back and been a bit more unselfish. It's it is not just me in this moment. There are people around me that are connected to me, you know, however I viewed that then, but they are, and they love me, and if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That absolutely makes sense. That's a good way of saying it. I've never really thought of it that way. That they need to give you some space, but at the same time, you didn't want to outcast them. You didn't want to send them away because you still need them, right?
And I was, yeah, I was pretty gruff at
Yeah.
times, you know.
What changed?
Um, Probably what changed was probably I saw them more as my family, because when I came back to Canada from living overseas for almost 10 years, I really didn't know them. I had no relationship really with them. I'd come home for Christmas and I'd be around for a week and a half and then I'd be off, I'd barely, but I think once I saw them, I saw how much they put up with me. I was like, okay, there's more to this than just family or whatever. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Absolutely. That's cool. So tell me, what has been going on since then? I mean, 4 years, obviously, you talked a little bit about what happened. So you just kind of come to the realization that, there was more to it than that. But was there a trigger point that happened?
In the actual accident,
No, no, after the accident. I mean, you said you were gruff for quite a while. What was there a trigger point? Was there a day where you just had a blow up and you're like, oh, stop it. You needed to stop and change your way. I mean, was there a day like that?
I don't think there was so much a day. I think a lot of it was quite gradual, and heck, I'm still learning a lot, right now. Um, but I do remember being in hospital and in the neuro rehab ward, so a lot of broken people in there, a lot of brain injuries, and you know, I there I could see a lot of people depressed, and just switching off. I don't want to, you know, just not interested in life. And I saw that and I thought, I do not want to be like that. I've seen where that can go in my previous career in life, and I wanted no part in that. And so I think that's also where I had, you know, a, a shift to being like focused and drilled in and kind of hard towards the people around me that, hey, I need to grind. That's all I knew how to do,
Mm.
really. And I think just slowly over time, realizing that, hey, I can't grind like that. I can't be that kind of hard-hearted person, but I need to start letting people in. And probably one of the biggest influences, if not the biggest, is my wife. I met her maybe a year after, you know, started developing a friendship with her a year after.
A year after the accident?
Yeah, after the accident. Yeah.
Okay.
So pretty much straight out of hospital.
Mm.
And she is a very, very patient woman, so very grateful for that and kind of her example and kindness and heart. And, it offsets me or good balance for me.
You don't seem like a gruff person anymore. You seem like you're more of a patient guy. I mean, everything I've seen from you so far has led me to believe that. I mean, maybe your wife has rubbed off on you because I just don't see the gruffness.
She definitely has she's definitely rubbed off on me.
Hmm.
So.
Oh, that's awesome. Um, well, so what do you think? I mean, let's think about this. I mean, you've gone through all this. You're now 4 years from being out of a hospital, the hospital, as we say.
Yeah.
But what do you think has been the biggest, aside from your wife, what has been the biggest reason for your success? And you can define success however you want, but what would you say is the biggest reason for that?
I think one of the biggest thing that I can attribute that success to is probably the lessons that I learned and from my time in the military, and outside of it from the climbing community as well, but primarily from the examples that I had as a young Marine, as a young guy, and really just seeing, the men around me and my peers, displaying, courage, determination, that unselfishness, and definitely another quality is that cheerfulness in adversity. Sort of those four things, and being able to reflect back on that, especially when I get down, because I definitely do, and kind of go down. So,
So what were the four again?
sorry.
The four again: cheerfulness.
Yep. So courage, determination, unselfishness, and cheerfulness in adversity. So I would define those things as courage. It's recognizing fear, yet choosing to move forward and drive forward. Determination, just relentless pursuit of your goals. Unselfishness, that ability to put aside your own comfort to support everyone around you. And cheerfulness in adversity. Something's always going to go wrong. You might as well flip and smile about it, right? That ability to dig deep and find something that can make you smile to kind of drive you up, lift you up.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good. I appreciate that. That's good. And now, so I've got to ask: is there something that you do that you allows you to, obviously aside from your wife? Is there something that you do daily that helps you to stay aligned, to help you to have your vision aligned? Because I mean, your vision seems pretty good to me. I mean, your vision is to be able to be something else for other people, right? What would you say your vision is?
What my vision is, I don't. It comes and goes quite a lot. I'm all over the place, so I got to kind of grind and myself down and figure out where the heck I want to go and stay on task, which I find very difficult. I think routine for me is kind of key. Stems from the military. Everything there is very routine. I need that. So I think that's a big one. I've got no secret to that. I just kind of just try to tick it away. I go wrong a heck of a lot of times. Um, but I think it's just that goal setting and that determination to where I want to go. Um, yeah, pretty simple, really. I don't know.
So what is your morning routine like?
My morning routine, yeah, it's with this injury, spend a lot of time in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So then I usually get up first, make my wife breakfast, keep her sweet, get the coffee on, go to the bathroom, do my thing there, and then I usually get on the bike. So training full time really as a cyclist. It's a lot. It's a heck of a lot of time. So that could be 2 hours, usually 2 to 3 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week. And then usually the afternoon I work on building my sort of speaking business and grooming out the clients and trying to find people that would like to listen to me, and just kind of cruising around the internet.
So you say or you say 2 hours of riding a bike. So this is your wheelchair bike, or you have a racing wheelchair bike?
No, it's a hand cycle. So it's different than the.
Oh, okay. So like this?
Yeah. So yeah, push pull, same gearing as a regular bike, just back upside down. So those workouts can be, depending where I am in the season and what I'm getting ready for. They can be just endurance rides. They can be power endurance rides. They can be sprints, and it's long. It's really boring, especially in winter. It's all inside, so I'm pretty much just staring at the wall for 5-6 months, just waiting for either a training camp to show up, kind of midwinter and spring, or I'm at summertime. Weather's nice. I'm out riding on the roads.
Do you get to go south during the winter at all?
Yeah, so I go down to I've been down to Arizona 2, 3 times now for a training camp, and they usually last around 10 days in Tucson. So that breaks
Oh,
up the winter really, really nice.
yeah, that would be nice. Huh.
I usually get to manage a tan year round, so it's good.
Oh, that's good. So the training is interesting because that's a lot of training. But when you're home, you're still working on it. You still need to stay focused on it. What do you have that helps you to stay focused? It helps you to stay um, clear on what your message is and what your purpose is. I mean, it sounds like you have a great story to do that, but you still need to keep going forward. You still need to make sure that you keep an eye on the target, right? So how do you do that?
So yeah, if we look at the bike sort of thing, I've got the big goals where I want to go. They're far away, you know, years and years away. And then if we kind of rein it, sorry,
That would be considered your vision.
yeah,
So your vision for your bike, those big goals, far, far away. So go ahead.
yeah. So they're far away. If I just look at that all the time, and I do sometimes, that's going to become overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I just got to start kind of reeling it back. Like, okay, where do I want to go this season? You know, flip. Where do I want to go in the next couple months? Where do I want to go this week?
Hmm.
Where do I want to go in the next hour, the next 10 minutes? You know, and I think being able to break it down into those little increments
Yeah.
is really key, so that you don't get overwhelmed. And with cycling, it's really great because every single detail can be measured right there on the computer in front of you, and it doesn't lie at all. So
Yeah, you
I
can't get
can't,
around that.
you know,
Hmm.
and I think that's where it really comes down to being really being really honest with yourself as well. So you don't let yourself down with disappointment, and you can prepare yourself for failure and what to do when that failure comes up. Those feelings of wanting to quit creep in, all those things.
Yeah.
So honesty, I think, would kind of be the overarching sort of
Hmm.
point to that.
We've had a few people join in. I'd like to bring them on as well. So our friend Laura Waller is on #live. Thank you very much for that. And if you're listening to this live, put in #live. If you're listening to the replay, put in #replay. That's great. And then let me know where you're calling in from. That would be helpful as well. And if you have questions for Josh, we have another 5 or 6 minutes here. We're going to go, but if you have questions for Josh, put them in the comments. We'd love to have them, and we'll read them. So somebody else join here. My friend Jeffrey Dameron, love this pillars. The pillars. Reminds me of the courageous parents of a kid again. Oh, a kid again is a charity here in the States that supports the children with life-threatening illnesses and allows them to get out of the hospital, get away from the needles, get away from all of that hospital stuff, and allows them to go out and do different adventures. Like going to amusement parks or Buckeyes, the basketball team here in Columbus, or wherever they are, and allows them to be a kid again. So that's why he mentions a kid again, which is a great charity that Jeffrey was responsible for starting. And how they live their ill children and other children with precious families. Yeah, Jeffrey is spot on. He does a great job of continuing on that message. Other people that have joined, oh yeah, they like your stories, your message about how you stay focused and stay continue to do your vision, continue to stay on top of your vision, but also manage those manageable milestones that you talked about. I think that's great. So now we talked a little bit about your success, but now there's also the dark side of things, not dark, but the blind spots. So we all have blind spots in our life. So there's something out there that is preventing you from seeing what it is you should be seeing. Now, in a work environment, we have people that can help us with our blind spots. We have coaches or whatever the case may be that help you to be able to see your blind spots. Typically, you can't see your blind spots on your own, but who do you have, and maybe it's your wife, who do you have else that can help you to see your blind spots?
Yeah, so coaches within cycling,
Okay.
some very, very close friends who are brutally, probably a little bit too brutally honest with me, and definitely my wife.
Yeah.
And the points when in my life when I didn't have those things have definitely been the darkest, points where I wasn't being honest with myself and I just kept everything inside. And there has been different times in my life where I have went and I seek help just to go chat with people, that can give me a different sense of viewpoint or whatever, and re-steer me uh, in a good down a better path, as it were.
Yeah, you mentioned some different therapy techniques that you've employed. I mean, I think that's pretty incredible because for me, anyways, I know it's hard to just let go of funds for something you're not exactly sure is going to work. When I had brain surgery 10 years ago, I knew that I needed to have brain surgery. I knew I needed to spend the money. I knew I needed to, go to Arizona, which is funny where I went for my surgery, where you went for your retreats. But I knew that I needed to do that. I typically don't spend money enough on those things like you mentioned, where you have coaches, you have all that to help you to move forward. But how do we get people? Because now I do that, and I told you I didn't, but I'm doing that over the last few years, and it's helped me to just grow tremendously. But how can we get other people to have that mindset that they need to have a coach, they need to have someone in their corner, and maybe it's a friend, a truth teller, if you will, and maybe it's a spouse, but maybe it's a coach that you have to really do something with, maybe pay for, who knows, to get them to move forward, to get them to experience the success that they really could have and that they should have.
Yeah, if you start with that, being honest with yourself and those intentions of where you want to go, and if you can see if it's going to be a net benefit or not. You can't live in that, and it's easy to say, can't live in that sort of fear, that fear of failure, that fear of moving forward. You just gotta step out with that courage and just take a chance, even if it's something so small, whatever it is, a new pattern to your way of life or thinking, and realize, heck, you are going to stumble, you are going to fail. It's just the big, beautiful thing of life, right?
Yeah.
And maybe one other thing on that is you could really look back on those points of failure, if you want to use that, but really try to look at them in a new way of growth, as stepping stones of building forward, if that kind of makes sense. That growth really comes from that adversity.
Yeah. So we haven't talked much about this yet, Josh. What do you talk about in your speech? So I'm going to put a URL of your website and your speaking career. So what do you speak on?
So the big thing is those seeking adversity to build resilience, and the different ways that you can do that through a few different sort of mindsets. I also speak on leadership and mental health. When I speak on leadership, I like to speak about humility, sort of the real humble leaders that I had, the ones that I respected the most, that I still really look up to, even if I only knew them for a little bit of time, and how impactful they were on my life. Sort of mindset, a bit of the stuff that we spoke of today, and on mental health, the journey that I've been on, the mental ups and downs, as well as the sort of physical.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the three topics that I speak on.
Okay. Awesome. There's another comment here. So, hey, thank you both for your for this purposeful, honest, and insightful presentation today. Jeffrey is he's a great guy. Love the guy dearly, and he is continues to support and encourage all of us in what we're doing. So he knows the passion that I have. He knows the passion that you have now for what it is you're doing, and I'm just so thankful you all could join us here today for Stroke of Genius. And Josh, if there's anything else that you would like to leave the audience with, what would it be?
Be courageous, step outside into that discomfort with courage, look around the world with unselfishness, be determined in all that you do, and if it all goes wrong, just smile and laugh about it.
I love it. Any way we can contact you, Jeff, or Josh?
Yeah, I would love anybody can reach out to me, ask me anything, and they can just go through my website, joshuapelland.com. I've got my social media links there. They can drop me a message and connect with me wherever. I'm always happy to do that.
Awesome. Great. Well, thanks for joining us today, Josh.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, and thanks for everyone listening.
Absolutely. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Awesome.